Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. Before we jump into today's story, I just wanted to give a shout out to the two artists who have helped me with this month so far. I don't know about the rest of you all, but I absolutely love all of the different artwork that I get done for these stories, and honestly just the skill and passion of all of the different artists in our fandom. Make sure to check out the links in the description so that you can let the artists know how much you love their art, and let them know if you would also like to commission something from them. Without further ado, this one is called Cold Hands, Warm Heart. Deep in the imagination, nestled between the creative twins' realms, lay a long swath of shared territory. For years, the twins would fight bitter, loving, vicious battles over which of them would control the area. Day by day, or even hour by hour, they would fling their creations into the space, destroying and recreating each other's work in a vicious attempt to keep a toehold. Eventually, each brother forgot what they had even originally intended to do with the strip of land, their driving goal having evolved to simply preventing their brother from claiming the space as his own. After each of their skirmishes, the area would always revert back to something of a happy medium between the glitz and glamour of Roman's fairy tales and the gore and gratuity of Remus's nightmares. The area consisted of a wide open field of softly undulating hills bordered on either side by a mixed-growth forest populated with pine, oak, and maple trees. In the spring and summer, the field was carpeted in brightly colored blossoms, with bees and wasps and strange little insects Remus had created called hairflies, which, up close, resembled tiny flying rabbits. At night, lightning bugs competed with the star-filled sky, peppering the air with bright spots of light. In the fall, the forest exploded in a cacophony of colors, with oranges, golds, and reds, dotted with the deep green of pines spread out across the borders of each brother's realm. Small animals bounded through the woods, tiny squirrels and chipmunks chittering at each newly discovered nut, trilling songbirds with impossibly bright feathers, and every kind of creeping, crawling creature imaginable scuttled in the underbrush, searching for a place to hide from the impending winter chill. And in winter, the entire area was transformed into a blustery, snow-covered spectacle. The hills seemed to steepen, and a strong cold wind funneled through the trees, swooping down across the field. It made for cold walking conditions and excellent snow. That excellent snow is what had drawn Remy, Janus, Remus, and Virgil out to the imagination for this year's winter solstice. It was a brutally cold day. The temperature never broke 2 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind whistling through the trees made it feel significantly colder. A lingering puff of smoky white burst from Janus's clenched teeth as he punctuated each word with another crunch as he marched through the ice-encrusted snow. How much further, Rem? He grimaced as the frigid wind changed direction, finding a new gap in his scarf. Chill, babe, we're almost there. Do not tell me to chill. Remy laughed and wrapped a leather-clad arm around Janus's shoulders. Babe, just trying to lighten the mood a bit. He squished the puffy material of Janus's bright yellow, full-length, goose-down overcoat. You're bundled up like the kid from that movie. You can't tell me you're actually cold. Of course I'm cold, damn it. He tried to maintain the bitterness in his voice, but his annoyance was rapidly melting under Remy's gentle attention. What I don't understand is how you aren't. He looked Remy up and down as though he'd spot some secret heating device or a magical layer of whatever passed for Gore-Tex on this side of the mindscape. It's the longest night of the year, and you're sauntering around in a t-shirt and an MC that's not even zipped up. Grabbing the smirking side by the lapels, he pulled Remy to stop and zipped his leather motorcycle jacket up to his chin. There, that's better. I was feeling colder just looking at you. Aw, you old softy. Remy curled his arm around Janus's shoulders again. He tugged his zipper back down halfway. Janus would have shrugged him off if he didn't crave the warmth. You really do care. I don't, Janus insisted, melding himself to Remy's side as he continued to shiver. If you die of hypothermia out here, I'll be stuck here alone trying to figure out whether it's better to keep walking to this mystery cabin of yours or to try and go find my way back to the imagination portal. He craned his neck, looking behind them. They'd long ago lost sight of their exit back to the core mindscape. Remy mugged a comically large frown. And it looks like the wind has already covered our tracks, so going back is out like Thomas. Janus rolled his eyes and kept walking. They took about 20 steps in silence before Janus suddenly waved his arms, exclaiming loudly, "You still haven't explained what we're doing out here." "Well, my favorite snaky bitch." Remy kissed his cheek, which Janus quickly scrubbed away with his gloved hand. "We're on our way to a winter wonderland. First, we're gonna build snow people and snow snakes, and you, babes, get to declare the winner." If I'm judging, I'm assuming that means I can't participate in the contest of said snow people, he said, looking to the heavens, laying the back of his hand against his forehead. Oh, the tragedy. I suppose I will just have to find a cozy spot indoors from which to pass my judgment. Remy tightened his grip around Janus's shoulders. "You would think that, wouldn't ya?" He laughed when Janus rolled his eyes with a huff. No, babe. You get to compete and judge, which means you're practically guaranteed to win the contest." "And is the reward a nice hot toddy and a seat by the fire?" Janus slumped against Remy's shoulder, hope dwindling that he could possibly escape the day without frostbite. "Of course not." Remy took a slow sip of his iced coffee. Janus idly wondered how it hadn't frozen solid. "Do we look like murderers to you? The snow people would melt." "You look like a future murder victim right about now," Janus grumbled as he stepped into a deeper than expected snowdrift. Remy caught his arm before his face planted in the snow. "Thanks," he hissed. Remy kept one arm looped around Janus as he continued to describe the rest of the afternoon they had planned. "So, after the snowbuilding competition, we're gonna go ice skating." "Ice skating?" Janus stopped walking and tugged Remy back. "Running around on a slick surface with knives strapped to our feet?" He shivered, turtling his head deeper into his scarf and coat. "Have you no sense of me?" "Oh, come on, babes. It'll be great." They were fast approaching the tiny cabin. Remy pointed at a clearing surrounded by snow-dusted trees. Janus could just barely make out the green gremlin himself on top of an impossibly tall ladder, threading something through the empty branches of a giant maple tree. "The ice is like a dream. Remus made it greener than a Starbucks straw, and Virgil made sure the blades and the ice can't actually hurt anyone." "Come on, Ree. I can see them coming." Virgil was torn between wanting to foot Remus's ladder in an attempt to stabilize it against the tree and running away from it before it inevitably fell over. "Hurry up, or Janus will see what you're doing." Remus squinted through the snow-covered tree branches. He waved a hand dismissively and stood on his tiptoes on the very top of the rickety ladder. "They're too far away to see what I'm doing." Virgil looked up at him, shielding his eyes from the tiny bit of snow glare reflecting the last of the afternoon sun. "You better be done soon, Ree. You're running out of ladder up there." The ladder shook and Virgil ran toward it, bracing it against the tree. "Thanks, Emo," Remus cackled with a little shoulder shimmy. Virgil grit his teeth as he held tight to the ladder, pinning it to the tree. "Ree," he craned his neck, watching Remus as he looped coil after coil of thin wire through the branches. "Why are you using a ladder when you could just—" Virgil waved his hand around as though he was following swirls of magic between the trees. "We are in the imagination." Remus shrugged. "Where's the fun in that?" "Where's the fun in falling off a 20-foot tall ladder and breaking your leg?" Being laid up on the couch in the living room for 6 weeks, bothering my brother every time he comes downstairs?" Remus laughed as he started down the ladder. "Sure sounds like fun to me." "You wouldn't need a cast. You could just heal yourself." Virgil frowned as he jumped off the ladder 10 feet from the bottom, landing with a grunt in a snowdrift. Or I could not and make Pocket Protector give me first aid, and our resident dad will feel so guilty I'd get cookies and milk every day. I wonder if I could get him to leave the milk on the counter overnight so it gets Virgil rolled his eyes as he offered Remus a hand up out of the snow. You've got this all worked out, don't you? Yep, sure do, he said as he pulled Virgil down into the snowdrift with him, shoving his face into the cold powder with a laugh. Oh, that's it, trash man. You're eating snow. Virgil laughed as he stuffed a handful of snow down Remus's acid green coat. By the time Janus and Remy had trudged the last 50 yards or so, Virgil and Remus were caked in snow head to toe, rolling around, each trying to get one more batch down the other's coat. Are you trying to become hypothermic? Janus snapped when he saw them. Do you have any idea the headache that causes Thomas? Uh-oh, Mom's home, Virgil whispered loudly from the tumble of limbs sprawled in the snow. The snowy figure on top, a patch of green showing on his shoulder, and his full body shimmy the only way to distinguish them, pointed down to Virgil. He did it. Rolling his eyes, Remy waved his hand and the snow fell away from the wrestling sides. Their clothes instantly dried. Thanks, Rem. Virgil clambered up to his feet, dragging Remus up with him. Remus crossed his arms and stuck out his tongue before cackling, No thanks, Rem. The snow was just starting to burn. Remy took a long sip of his iced coffee, and Janus glared at him. Since when do you have powers in the imagination? What, and let these two have all the fun? He made a show of lowering his sunglasses and winking at Janus. In your dreams, babe. Janus shook his head, but he had to stifle his smile. You know you're just as bad as Patton, he said quietly. Virgil shrugged at Remy's offended expression. He's not wrong. Rem. Janus closed his eyes. Maybe if he didn't actually have to see the frigid landscape around them, he wouldn't be reminded that they were essentially in the middle of a patch of ice surrounded by a smudge of trees on the longest night of the year. It's already dark, and I'm about to become an actual snow snake out here. His voice started to crack. Please, can we just go? Remus clapped his hands, and tens of thousands of sparkling lights burst from the trees, bathing the group in a warm, actually warm glow. Janus opened his eyes and looked around, his mouth falling open as the green, yellow, purple, pink, and white lights spilled over his face. Remy looped his arm around Janus's waist. Are you sure you want to leave, babe? Janus leaned against him. The vitriol melted from his voice. This is beautiful, but I'm actually afraid I might freeze to death out here. He gestured to the scales that peeked out between his scarf and hat. Remember snake traits? That's where the second part comes in, Dee. Virgil pointed behind them. Remy and Janus turned, and from their perspective, they could see that one side of the cabin was made of glass, a bit of fog misting the edges, revealing its warm interior. A long plush wraparound sofa lined two of the walls of the cabin. Near it, there was a hallway that, in the absurd geometry of the imagination, appeared to lead to another set of rooms, filling the rest of the wall with a large brick fireplace, a bright crackling fire within. On the opposite side of the great room was a sleek, open space kitchen where, even from the outside, they could see tendrils of steam where something simmered in a large pot on the stove. 4 wine glasses were already set out, along with a large urn, 4 heavy mugs decorated with each of their names in Remus's unexpectedly beautiful swirling script, chocolate, and a large bowl of marshmallows. But it was what lay in the center of the room that truly drew Janus's attention. Set down into the floor, with a perfect view of the lit trees, the frozen lake, and the rising moon, was a giant hot tub, filled with steaming water bubbling in invitation. Remy tightened his arm around Janus's waist and met his eyes over his sunglasses. Better? Much. Janus nodded, leaning his head on Remy's shoulder. Behind his back, Remy signaled Remus with a quick twitch of his hand. Oh, and we've got good mood music, too. Remus nodded with a wink and snapped his fingers. Poppy dance music filled the air, and Janus started to bop his head, chuckling at the bouncy synth 90s sound until the lyrics began. He's a cold-hearted snake, girl. Look into his eyes. Oh, he's been telling lies. You bitch. Janus laughed, gently elbowing Remy's ribs. Remy kissed his cheek as they headed inside, Remus holding the door for them with a dramatic flourish. Your bitch, babe. Remy murmured low enough that only Janus could hear. Your bitch. Thank you all for listening. Again, this was Cold Hands, Warm Heart. If you check out the AO3 link, you will actually see that EduPunk Noob made a playlist for this one, so I would highly recommend you checking that out as well. I do hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful day.